Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, it is time to do an episode that is going to stir some emotions. And, anytime you can do a episode that sort of pits Michigan against Ohio State in some way or another, that's always great content. But this is one where I feel like you might see people on both sides of the rivalry a little upset for various reasons, which is always just tremendous, tremendous content.
That is what we're here for. We are taking a look at one of the, I guess maybe the last remaining portal targets for the Buckeyes in the secondary, and that is in the form of Cam Calhoun, who attended high school at Winton Woods in Cincinnati, but also signed with Michigan in the class of 2023, was at Michigan for a year, then transferred to Utah for a year, and then was this past year at Alabama. And now he's again in the portal, and the Buckeyes and he have been talking. And it wouldn't be the first time they've been talking. They talked in high school. I remember seeing him on a visit at Ohio State. You've got photos of him visiting. He was a four-star guy. Just, I don't know that he actually got the Ohio State offer at the time back when he was a high schooler, but has now spent time at three big-time schools, if you want to give Michigan that kind of shine. But and now a former Buckeyes looking at a former Wolverine. Subterfuge abounds, but no, Ohio State still looking for maybe a little bit more help in the secondary, and maybe that guy could be Cam Calhoun.
Yeah, I think this is one where, the former Michigan player is sort of the exciting part of the headline that's going to grab everyone's attention. This is someone who was a former high school teammate of Jermaine Matthews, and he feels like, if he comes to Ohio State, the role is kind of Jermaine Matthews insurance, where, as of the time we're recording this, Jermaine Matthews is not officially back, but the NFL draft declaration deadline has passed. So it feels like that's just a matter of time before that gets officially announced. And you've got Jermaine Matthews on one side, you've got Devin Sanchez on the other side. You've got your two safeties, you've got your nickel. So you've kind of got your starting five. And you've got a couple true freshmen coming in this year who, in terms of potential outside corners, are people they're very high on, people they think they are going to get some real productivity out of, and potentially early. But this is someone you can bring in, and he can provide a little bit of a buffer there where if you have an injury, if you need to go a little deeper in your rotation, you don't necessarily need to turn the car keys over to true freshmen very, very early, because this is kind of bringing him in is a little bit of a result of Bryce West and Aaron Scott hitting the portal and leaving. Those were going to be the guys who were, probably cornerback 3, cornerback 4, give or take, in this year's rotation. Now they're gone. Now, again, very, very talented true freshmen. But until you get true freshmen on campus, you don't really, really, really know what you have. And they have just barely got those guys on campus. So this feels like almost an insurance addition, and someone who has played at a high enough level that you kind of know, okay, he was not a starter at Alabama last year, but he played in the SEC championship game. He played in the Rose Bowl for Alabama. So, he has been on these fields. He's someone who you kind of, you know what you're getting. And in a sort of insurance addition, that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, for sure. And again, as we say with all of these shows, would make you older. And that's something that Ohio State is now looking for. So as a recruit, he was the number 41 cornerback in the nation, number 12 player in Ohio, number 397 player overall in the 24/7 Sports Composite. Obviously offers from Michigan, there's West Virginia, Cincinnati, Kentucky, and others. So as a true freshman at Michigan, he played in 2 games, redshirted, then moved on to Utah, where he played in 11 games, started once, 21 tackles, tackle for loss, and an interception. Had a team-high 9 pass breakups as a redshirt freshman, not bad. Actually tied for 4th in the Big 12 that year in that category as well. Then moved on this past year to Alabama. Played in 14 games, defense and special teams, and that's another area where, as you're losing guys, you're also like, boy, who's playing special teams? That's And not that you go into the portal looking, we need some special teams guys, but it is nice to know that if you could add somebody, they've got that experience and that willingness. And so he checks a lot of boxes. I don't think that you're looking for him to start a spot start here and there if need be. Sure. That's an idea. And that's again, right now, I don't know that there are a lot of guys left out there. Cam Calhoun with the connection to Ohio, Big Ten, SEC, playing as at all of the places he has been. Maybe it's just time to come home. And after going to Michigan, not playing much in terms of like not your ideal start. I'm not starting. Go to Utah, you're not starting. Go to Alabama, you're not starting. I think you start to realize, you know, do I want to go someplace and start, in which case you're gonna have to drop a level, or do I want to do what I'm doing and contribute, in which case you can stay on the same level that you're at. So I think he's kind of in that decision making mode at this point in terms of what do I want and what am I getting out of these things as well.
Yeah, this is a little bit like, this is going to be a weird comparison, but Justin Martin, the quarterback they brought in, who had
Mhm.
multiple previous starts at, Big Ten, current Big Ten member schools. In Martin's case, it was UCLA and Maryland, who had not, he'd started a little bit, had his spot start at UCLA at one point, and then now coming to Ohio State and not coming in expecting to start. Julian Saint's a starting quarterback, but you can come in, you can play, be a part of a bigger program. You can potentially play a role. If you're needed to be called upon, you have started before. Probably not, but if you have injury situations, sure. If the freshman, true freshman in this case with the corners, or if the redshirt freshman in terms of Tavian St. Clair isn't ready to go to be a starter for whatever reason, you're there. But, you also probably have reached the point where you're recognizing, okay, I'm probably not going to be standing on a stage during the first round with Roger Goodell handing me a hat and shaking my hand. That's okay. That there very few people get to that point, and everyone sort of at some point realizes, outside of the select few who do, everyone sort of realizes at some point, hey, that's not where this story ends. But there's still potentially some story and a role to play here. And yeah, you talked about the defense piece and the special teams piece as well. As you said, that's something that, everyone no one thinks about that this time of year. But then if they give up a punt return, everyone's going, why aren't they focusing on special teams more? It's like, well, this is the kind of move that could be them focusing on special teams. And yeah, it's insurance on defense, but also it's some proven veteran depth on special teams. And, that's not a big deal until it is. And then when it is, it's a really big deal. So, potentially this could be a really big deal.
And to answer, I know a handful of questions in the comments right now. No, he cannot pass block. So there you go. I should have started with that. I apologize. That should have been the first thing we said. But there you go. Somebody to think about. Ohio State, looking at him, you're looking at Ohio State, could be a possible answer down the road. So if you're watching, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. We would appreciate that. 5-star rating and review as always. And you can continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com, where we are definitely talking about this, talking about the NFL draft and the declarations and the non-declarations and things of that nature. So you can find us there as well. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.